Eddie Hearn again hates on Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. He claims Deontay Wilder is lying and he would accept the franchise belt from the WBC if it came down to it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Shout out to Cash App. Shout out to y'all, man. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. I am an affiliate. It does help the channel. Link in the description. Sky Sports has an interview. It says franchise champion Wilder would. Right? Deontay Wilder might change his mind about the WBC's franchise status, says promoter Eddie Hearn. Deontay Wilder would become the franchise champion if it meant he could avoid fights with Anthony Joshua or DILLIAN White, says promoter. Wilder fights Wilder-Ortiz live on Sky Sports November 23rd and recently said the WBC franchise title would not fit me. But Eddie Hearn believes that Wilder could be tempted to accept this status, which means a champion does not have to fulfill a mandatory defense if he was finally obligated to fight Joshua or White. You can't take anything Wilder says seriously, the Matchroom Box boss says to Sky Sports. First of all, he says one face, one name, one champion, and then we chase him for the undisputed for over a year, and he don't want to know. And Joshua loses, and it's one face, one name, one champion again. Now he says he'll turn down a franchise belt. If he gets the opportunity to duck DILLIAN White or Anthony Joshua or anybody by being elevated to a franchise champion, he would do it in a heartbeat. Don't take what Deontay Wilder says too seriously. White was suspended for failing a drug test. That's what it says after the UCAD. He insisted that RUIZ was beaten fair and square. Joshua had previously pursed, blah, blah, blah. I think Andy Ruiz will give anybody an exciting fight. Wilder needs to worry about Wilder-Ortiz because he's in a fight that's not in the same level as Joshua against Ruiz. That's the biggest fight of the year. That's one of the biggest heavyweight fights of the decade. I think everyone would give Wilder trouble. Now, link in the description. This is pure confirmation that Eddie Hearn is a hater. I am not sure why he would do this. I am not sure why he believes he can insult an American champion who seems to be minding his business. Joshua has lost. He's not picking on Joshua. He's not targeting Joshua. He's doing great numbers with PBC on Fox, promoting his own fight with Wilder-Ortiz. Yet and still, you have a ton of DAZN fighters or promoters or people tied to Sky Sports mentioning Wilder, you know, and it's amazing that guys primarily from the UK keep saying that Wilder is not a thing. He's not big. You know, Tyson Fury says that he's bigger than Wilder in America, and he's recently banished and shunned himself from the UK, said he don't ever want to go fight in the UK again. They had their chance. You know, so he turned his back on y'all. And Usyk's mentioning Wilder. Eddie Hearn keeps mentioning Wilder for a while. Before the drug test brought heat to DILLIAN White, he was constantly mentioning Wilder. You know, Joshua had Ruiz lined up after Gerald Miller failed a drug test. All of a sudden, he's mentioning Wilder. It's not a good look. And like I said, for Eddie Hearn's sake, in America, with new media around, I don't know why he would keep doing this to his brand. Like, he looks like he is just outright hating on Deontay Wilder. First of all, he says Wilder would indeed accept the franchise champion status. How do you know that? You know, see, the bottom line is Wilder is getting praised for taking a stand that Canelo, Lomachenko, and others aren't doing. You know, they're not taking a stand against the acceptance of the WBC belt. and Wilder's minding his own business. He's doing great numbers on Fox with his shoulder programming, and he's getting a lot of fanfare because of it. People are like, oh man, this dude, he's really about what he says he's about. So out of nowhere, Eddie Hearn has to interject his opinion and his 2 cents, which we know he's hating, you know, and lying, talking about we chased down Wilder for a year and he didn't want to know about it. I mean, if anyone believes that, especially with how Joshua looked versus Ruiz, I mean, I think that tells you what the fear was and, I mean, who really wanted to fight. And again, this is just all the way a bad look. So let's take a quick detour. I need all Americans, all Eagles Army. You know, we're not going to accept this. Wilder fights Saturday, November 23rd. Buy this pay-per-view. Let's make this a success. New media. Let's stand for something in boxing. They got Luis Nery on the undercard. He's a potential future opponent for Inoue. They got the homie Leo Santa Cruz versus Miguel Flores rescheduled. Ortiz looks like a beast. He has a new strength and conditioning coach. You know, it should be a big fight, you know, and we're going to see. Canelo sold 10,005 tickets for the Kovalev fight. He was playing second fiddle to UFC 244. How come Eddie Hearn has so much to say about everybody else's business except for the business that he's directly involved with, like DAZN? You know, he did another interview, Hatin, on Deontay Wilder, and he says that Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz, will only do 100 to 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So you think the heavyweight champion of the world does less than Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence versus Sean Porter, you know? Yeah, I mean, if that's your pick, good luck. So what are the consequences, like, if Eddie Hearn keeps getting this stuff wrong? Because in my opinion, he keeps hating, and then when reality sets in and the truth comes out, he's always wrong and it looks fraudulent. He said Tyson Fury and Wilder were not going to fight. He said no way, no how. Tyson Fury is not that foolish. Then Tyson Fury was that foolish and the fight was announced. Then he said Tyson Fury won't make it to the ring walk. He says no way, no how. Tyson Fury is going to pull out or get sick or get injured. Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn's cards are falling apart, like Lawrence Okoli. Joseph Parker pulled out versus Derek Chisora. Usyk pulled out earlier this year. Murat Gassiev pulled out 2 times from Joey DeVecco fights. And he's not talking about that, but he is speculating last year that Tyson Fury and Wilder wouldn't happen. Then the fight happens. It's an instant classic. And then he switches and moves the goalpost. So now, if this does more than 100 or 150,000, what are the consequences? Will you guys stop listening to Eddie Hearn? You know, are we going to boycott? It's getting bad. It's getting to that point, you know, and I'm telling you, here in America, Eddie Hearn is being shamed. And I don't know why DAZN would want this on their watch. A person constantly getting it wrong, aggravating the same industry or the same demographic that you're looking to break into in America. Eddie Hearn keeps running and hiding and doing these long interviews with IFL or UK based companies. And meanwhile, the American takeover is looking disastrous. I guess their biggest fight, Eddie Hearn's biggest fight in America, was 2 YouTubers. And I don't even know how big it was. And it doesn't sound like it did better than the first fight, since the first fight did over 1 million. And they should have pretty instant tracking, because this is viewership for an app. This is not a pay-per-view where you have to wait, a week for certain sources to come back and reports from Dish Network and all that. We ain't heard nothing. We ain't heard nothing about the numbers for Canelo Kovalev, a DAZN product, or the fight the week after, or Nonito Donaire and Inoue at 4:30 in the morning. So to me, I think Eddie Hearn should just kind of mind his own business. Wilder's not mentioning Joshua. I don't know anyone even wants to see Joshua versus Wilder at this point, because Joshua has to get past or Andy Ruiz. You know, and that's a huge danger. So it looks like Eddie Hearn, you know, just wants to, I guess, be in the limelight. Look at this. Fox released this. Wilder versus Ortiz PBC Fight Camp is the most watched episode ever with 2.2 million viewers. So once again, when I say facts, they say, oh, ego, you're hating. The haters say that. But Eddie Hearn can freely, I guess, if you have the complexion for the protection and blue eyes, you could just say whatever, no matter if it looks like it has any substance or anything, and that doesn't make you a hater. But I think what Eddie Hearn is doing is pure hating. Wilder-Ortiz Fight Camp broke a record. Other people like Errol Spence have appeared on Fight Camp, Sean Porter, and he surpassed everybody in his first fight with Fox. Yet and still, even though you go to YouTube, right, and you look at Fox PBC, right, and you look at the numbers, he did one day ago, his programming got 257,000, right? Countdown to Wilder-Ortiz, you see, 533,000. 3 days ago. Wilder face-off, 67,000. This other Wilder piece of the face-off, 714,000. So he's trending. Look at these numbers. Look. Look. You know, obviously I can't play the whole clip. Deontay Wilder. And then look at the numbers. So he just released this, or Fox and them just released it, shoulder programming. And he did almost 1 million. These are better numbers than Canelo. Wilder's the face of boxing. And on DAZN, JJ, aka KSI, is the face of boxing, because KSI and Logan Paul did better attendance than Canelo. So Eddie Hearn's looking foolish with all this stuff. You know, they only have 290. I'm not saying that like that's not that many, but to only have 291,000 subscribers, it's not like they had 1 million or something like maybe HBO boxing, and they're doing in a couple of days almost 1 million on one program. Not to mention the other ones I just showed you where it was 67,000, 500,000, you know, etc. So I think Fox is doing a great job of really even promoting Wilder, yet and still Eddie Hearn is lowballing the numbers and guessing and speculating, right? And the funny thing with that is this. Why do you care what Al Heyman, Deontay Wilder, Shelly Finkel, Jay Diaz, you know, Larry Wade, and Jimenez and Luis Ortiz do? What even if you were right, which you're not going to be right, but even if you were right, what bearing does it have on you? You know, nothing. You're just talking to be talking and hating, you know, and it's a bad look, especially trying to, quote, take over America. Americans see it. They're not going to just settle for that. And then when it comes to this WBC franchise belt, you're trying to, you know, debunk what Wilder is saying he would do in that given situation with no proof. Wilder has been a stand-up guy in terms of going after and doing what he said he's going to do. He said he's going to knock Stavern out in the rematch. He did that. You know, he says that he's going to smoke Joshua out. The world's seen, despite what Eddie Hearn is saying, the world's seen that he did that. Right? He said he's pursuing undisputed. It looks like he's pursuing undisputed. So what reason do you have to believe from a guy who's been consistent with his word? He says after Joshua, you know, would not accept the fight, he offered they offered the low money, $15 million or whatever it was. And Joshua moved the goalpost and said, oh no, you know, I got to fight Povetkin or whatever. He said, all right, don't come at me. Don't talk to me. Negotiations, that's done. You never going to get me for 15 million anymore. You know, I need 50-50 or the lion's share or whatever. But that was a one-time deal just to see what you was about and push for this fight. And Joshua turned down 50 million. And all of a sudden, when it looked like Shelly Finkel and Deontay Wilder were coming to the UK, all of a sudden the WBA or whoever says Joshua has to fight Povetkin. I mean, it's just easy to see. But bottom line is Eddie Hearn, I think, is fearful in the Andy Ruiz Joshua fight. And he's going to, if Joshua loses, Eddie Hearn is going to look extremely bad. If Wilder wins and Joshua loses, Eddie Hearn's going to look extremely bad because he won't have anybody. Philip Ergovich, nobody knows in America. Dillian White, we still don't know what's up with his B sample. If Joshua loses, obviously that's 2 losses in 1 year by the same guy, right? And Usyk looked okay. You know, he didn't look like he's going to be the most exciting, scintillating fighter, and he was fighting someone far lesser. So it's just a lot of clout chasing in boxing. In new media, we're going to call it out and talk about it, but extremely bad look for Eddie Hearns. Constantly worrying about Wilder's numbers, worrying about PBC events, interjecting his opinion on Broner Pacquiao. Oh, nobody wants to see that. But you ain't done no numbers better than that. Broner Pacquiao, whatever numbers it did, name a DAZN fight, you know, name 3 DAZN fights that did better than that. And that wasn't even the biggest PBC fight this year. You know, always, oh, but Errol Spence, oh, I'm so disgusted. He had a DUI. Yeah, but you let a guy fail a drug test and fight. You got Chavez Jr. moving to a different state because he is suspended in the state you wanted him to fight, the state of Nevada, for dodging a VADA test. I don't care what his excuse is. That's the facts. Then you got another guy on that same card who failed with clenbuterol. Eddie got to stop. Eddie got to stop, bro. He's quick to criticize, and you know, and you the same one that sold us 2 YouTubers. You talk about Wilder. He been fighting since he was 21. He a champion. People feeling him in America. Deal with it. You sold us 2 YouTubers as, oh, 10-ounce gloves, no head guard. Somebody's getting knocked the F out. Well, that didn't happen. So it's looking extremely bad for the UK, for Sky Sports and DAZN and Eddie Hearn, because they're all connected. So if they keep having Eddie Hearn do these interviews, good luck, you know. And if Wilder, and this is how you know it's hate, right? What does it say? Wilder defends his belt against Wilder-Ortiz live on Sky Sports. Wilder defends against Wilder-Ortiz in Vegas, November 23, live on Sky Sports. Why is Sky Sports picking up the Wilder fight if you expect it to do small numbers? Bro, the UK is looking bad, bro. Tyson Fury don't want to fight for y'all. Your head promoter, Eddie Hearn, is making us like, oh, it's going to do low numbers. Then why is your company picking it up? It's over. I told you it is over for old media. Why is your company, Sky Sports, if it's going to do so terrible, and Wilder would, you know, his profile's looking bad because the world knows he would duck, and like, come on, bro. He would, for the franchise champion, he'll go against his public word to avoid Dillian White and Joshua, who just got knocked out. Bro, Eddie Hearn looks bad here, bro. Why is Sky Sports picking this fight up if it's only going to do 100,000 pay-per-view buys in America, where Wilder is from? Why does your company want this fight? You can't explain this. Checkmate.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.